Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of New South Wales Bred, a program that Harness Racing New South Wales is putting together to talk about the Breeders Challenge Series, which will run over the next couple of months. It's a really exciting initiative, $1 million in prize money up for grabs. And I'm delighted to have an all-star panel joining me. My name's Paul Cochrane. I've got racing journalist and a lady who has got publications all over the world at the moment, Amanda Rando. Welcome to the show.
Great to be here.
Michael Dumacy, journalist and also race caller extraordinaire. No doubt you've heard Michael's calls across our tracks over a long period of time, but particularly in the last few weeks as the Breeders' Challenge Series has commenced. Michael, welcome.
Thanks, Paul. Good to be here.
And a little bit of racing royalty and someone who's already got some runs on the board with the Breeders' Challenge Series so far, Blake Jones, the king of the Riverina. Welcome, Blake.
Thanks, Paul.
Good to have you on board. As I said, you've already had a winner through the series so far, and we'll get to that shortly. $1 million in prize money up for grabs through the Breeders' Challenge Series, and it really does unearth and showcase the best of the 2- and 3-year-olds across New South Wales. Michael Dumacy, it's a perfect exhibition of the best of our sport and the future ahead, isn't it?
Yeah, it really showcases what we've got to offer and what we can produce here in New South Wales with the breeders side of things. We've seen a really good crop of 3-year-olds so far. A few more heats to go with the 3-year-olds, but so far it hasn't disappointed. And the 2-year-olds are just starting to strut their stuff in the series. So, yeah, a really exciting time. And if the next 3 or 4 weeks are like they have been, we're in for a really good time.
We saw some really good ones at Young the other night, and that started off with the 2-year-old fillies, and we saw Captain's Queen go around. The queen of our panel, Amanda Rando. Pretty impressive, wasn't she?
Yeah, she certainly was. She's a Group 1 winner, and she's definitely brought that form to Young the other night. She seemed to do it quite easy, and it was a remarkable feat, really, considering the filly had to change hands and was in the caretaker of Brad Hewitt because of the whole COVID situation. So Russell Jack couldn't be there, but she took no ill effects from that, and she just powered on through with that win.
Michael, she just got to the front and never looked in trouble, and it looked like a canter getting to the line, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a really good win. She was only asked really twice in the run. Brad asked her to come off the gate, and they went a quick first quarter. They eased off a little bit through the middle stages, but that last quarter, he just gave her a little bit of a tickle up at the top of the lane, and she ran away, and she was quite strong in the run to the line. Plug still in, and Brad put the shillelagh away, well, pretty much after he gave that tickle along, and she ran away, and she scored very comfortably. The second horse was a good run, Lulu May. They both qualify for the semi-finals, and I think she will be one of the ones to beat when it comes to finals night.
Blake, you were thrilled that we were racing at Young the other night through this series. I noticed on Twitter, but let's get the elephant out of the room first up. But your impressions of Captain's Queen, really good first up performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that first corner at Young, but Captain's Queen, she was super. She went around the track like she was an aged horse, and she dead set went to the line, just absolutely jogging.
Now, we mentioned in the final quarter on the Harness Racing New South Wales website yesterday that was in some ways an entree to a rock show performance that we're about to see next up, and that was Mr. Ray. Michael Dumacy, wow, what a performance that was.
Yeah, he was very impressive, Mr. Ray. Wiz Blake will be able to tell you how hard it is to get 6 and 7 wide there at Young and come around that last corner, and he was dead set the widest, and they run that last quarter in 28.2, and he's run every bit of that last quarter. I went down and interviewed Daryl Perrott after the race, and the horse had a really good blow. He'd known he'd been in a race. He'd only had the first up run at Wagga and was good in that, but he did lead on that occasion. And going into that first corner, they did have some hairy times, but he got through that first corner. He got through the run. He now sights up the semis in 4 weeks' time and bring on that race with My Alderman Byron and also Mr. Ray. I can't wait.
Blake, when Daryl hit the go button on Mr. Ray, there was something special underneath him, wasn't it? It was like it was shot out of a cannon, and I think it was a performance that's going to put the rest of the competition through the Breeders' Challenge Series really on notice.
Yeah, well, after the interference at the start, I was just a spectator, so I was watching him to see how he was going to go, and I sort of looked at the 400 when he was pretty wide, and I thought he might be in a little bit of trouble here, but within about 10 metres, he put a length on him and, just ran away from him in the end. He was very impressive.
Amanda, 15-metre margin, it really did, it probably didn't tell the full story of the race in it because, as we've said, 30 metres behind the rest of the field there at one point.
Yeah, exactly. And even sort of out of the back straight heading around the home turn, he did look a little bit awkward. It looked like he was hanging in a little bit. So to come away and win by that margin and that slick last quarter was pretty impressive. But, this horse is unbeaten in 6 starts now. He is Australia's fastest 2-year-old this season. So he definitely has a few notches in his belt already.
Yeah, exciting times. We really look forward to seeing Mr. Ray progress through the series. Now, we raced at Parks as well, and the 3-year-old fillies were in action. We had a bit of a ball over Michael Dumpsey. Good chat of this.
Yeah, good chat of this. Was very impressive winning her heat of the 3-year-old Breeders Challenge at Parks last Friday evening. Sat 1-1. Amanda Turnbull led on Miss Lemon, and it's not very often that you do see Amanda get beat at Parks when she's in front and had that good of a run, but good chat of this showed a nice turn of foot coming out of the 1-1, and probably I thought it was going to run away for a little bit more of a margin or a bigger margin down to the line, but Amanda's horse, to its credit, really kicked on hard. So it sort of caught it by surprise when it did sprint so quickly, Miss Lemon, but take nothing away from good chat of this. And Mark Hewitt does know what it takes to win a Breeders' Challenge. He won the inaugural Breeders' Challenge way back when with Burning Stature.
Amanda Turnbull had the 2 leading fancies in that race. How will she assess how they played out? And can we still think that Miss Lemon and her other hope, Hold My Halo, still got hopes in this series?
Yeah, definitely. Particularly the leader, Miss Lemon, that she was just nabbed on the line, and she did a bit of work early to get to hold that forward position. So, look, I think she can be forgiven for that run. And as Mick just said, the winner, her turn of foot was phenomenal. She was very, very quick, and she had the perfect trip as well in the 1-1. So I don't think Amanda's filly was disgraced at all.
Blake, I'm interested in your assessment of this race.
I thought Mark's drive was probably what won him the race. He come from 10 and was able to lob 1-1. He did get a bit lucky on the first corner. There was a bit of interference, but he showed a bit of initiative at the start, and that was probably the winning move from him. And just to be able to run Amanda down, as you said, is a pretty good effort. She doesn't usually get beat too often when she's in front.
The 3-year-old Colts and Geldings raced as well. Steve Turnbull had 4 runners in that race. Mitch Turnbull got the drive on the favourite, and he delivered for the punters with Major Brack and Michael Dumpsey. That was a pretty good performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a really good performance by Major Brack, and he was the best assessed horse on a national rating level going into the race, being a national rating 62, and drew perfectly in gate number 1. I did notice in the warm-up that Mitch was driving him into the corners just to make sure he could handle those corners around Parks. They can be a little bit tight, and he is a horse that's done majority of his racing at Bathurst and also Menangle. So for him to come back to the 800-metre circuit, he handled it well. He fought them off. Mac Daddy charged late, but he was just ultimately too good, and his class really prevailed, and he can be a player going into the finals.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's move on to Leeton. And there's a reason why Blake Jones is not just because of his broad opinions on racing in New South Wales, but specifically barroom banter. Now, you got this series off to the perfect start, Blake. You had a win, but you also broke the track record of Leeton.
Yeah, no, it was pretty super just to be asked to drive him and look after him for the week. And, he didn't disappoint, that's for sure. I'd love to keep driving him, but I'm pretty happy just to have the one steer and get him through to the semis, and hopefully he can keep going through the series and hopefully back it up from last year after winning it.
How was your confidence going into that race?
It was pretty good. I spoke to Mick on the Sunday, I think. And he told me then, he goes, if you really have to, you can probably break the track record and beat him, joking around. And I thought he was joking anyway, but yeah, we were able to took a half a second off it, and he did it pretty easy, really.
Okay. Michael Dumpsey, you spoke to Blake after the race down there on track. It was a serious performance and a real statement piece to launch the Breeders' Challenge Series, wasn't it?
Yeah, just calling the race too, Paul. It didn't seem that they were going as quick as they were, the times were flashing up on the board, but the way he done it, the horse, and just gliding over the ground. And I know Blake, just give him a little reminder at the top of the straight, and he did get onto one rein, but he was just going so quickly. And the second horse, the Stain, he's only had the 4 or 5 starts for Corey Parker. Take nothing away from him either. He done well to stick to his guns with the returning champ, Barroom Banner, and the Stain only having a few runs. I think he can be one to look for in the future, but I definitely think he's on his way to going back to back.
Amanda, Barroom Banner won the 2-year-old series last year. I guess, the jury remains out when they're 2-year-olds, but to come in and deliver with a performance like that as a 3-year-old to launch the series is that shows that we've got a serious horse in our hands here, doesn't it?
Most definitely, and to run the mile rate he did around Leeton is just great. This horse, he certainly loves New South Wales. He's unbeaten now in New South Wales for 5 starts. So he was out of the money in his few previous starts before coming up to New South Wales. So it was good to see him bounce back into the winner's circle, and certainly the way he did.
Blake, it only gets harder from here. Obviously, heats are one thing, but we've got to progress through the series. How far can Barroom Banter go, do you think?
Yeah, he give me a real good feel. So I think if he draws half a right in the semi-finals, he can definitely go straight through to the final. And yeah, draw's going to be a pretty good thing. There's some pretty nice 3-year-olds around, but yeah, he's right up there with them, I think.
Okay. Stephen Maguire had About to Peak racing and delivered on the same night too, Michael Dumpsey.
Yeah, she was really good About to Peak. We've seen Steve Maguire year in and year out down there in the Riverina for probably the last 4 decades, producing nice horses, and he's aligned himself with another nice one here, About to Peak. She was strong. She led and she got attacked for a little bit of the way, and the second horse, Gracie Taltoa, gave her a bit of a scare, but Stevie was able to get the best out of her. And like I said, he's been doing that for years and years in the Riverina, and Blake would know that the Marul Magician is very, very hard to beat on any track in the Riverina, especially on a half-mile circuit.
You spoke to Steve down in the stables after the race. In his own laconic kind of way, he was pretty enthusiastic about the chances of About to Peak going forward too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he knows what it takes to get a nice juvenile into these series and into these classic races. And I think going into the semi-final, she'll be a filly. I don't think she'll be right up there with the name in lights, but she could be one that just ducks in onto the pegs and gets that nice run through. And she's definitely a player to get into a final, knowing that the top 5 are taken from each heat.
Blake, what was your thoughts on that race?
Yeah, no, sort of. I thought she was the one to beat. She was a really nice 2-year-old. It was a pretty good training effort from Steve. She hadn't raced since, I think, May or June. She had a first up in there and she was able to hold on. I thought Gracie Taltoa was also pretty good in second. Trevor White's done a super job with her this season, and she just seems to get better and better with every run.
Okay. Look, late last week, we saw the Tamworth leg of the first round of the heats, and it was a Hunter invasion where we had Michael Formosa taking some really good chances up there, and he did deliver with Heavenly Holly for the fillies. Amanda, that was one to take. It probably touted given the form that Heavenly Holly was taking into the race, but being touted and delivering on it are 2 different things, aren't they? And she certainly delivered when it mattered.
Yeah, she sure did. And she did it the tough way as well outside the leader. There was a bit of carnage early in that heat, and I think Mick thought he'd be able to control the race a bit better sitting outside the leader where he was. And, yeah, she ran on well. She went 158.5 and did it quite comfortably. And don't forget, this filly, she finished second to Antonia in the semi-final of the Breeders' Challenge last year. So she's certainly a nice type.
Yeah, for the boys, we had Sunshine Pepper. Bit of a ball over in that one, Michael Dummesy.
Yeah, a little bit of a boil over, not too unexpected. He is a very nice horse, Sunshine Pepper, and he can fly the gates, and that's one thing that if you can get in front at Tamworth, it's a massive advantage. And he was in front. There was carnage behind him, and a few horses got checked and had to make their way through that fall that did happen. So, yeah, no, it was a great run by Sunshine Pepper, and Rod Atkins has got a nice one on his hands there heading into the semis.
Michael Formosa's chance, Pop's Boy was sent out as $1.50 favourite in that. What do we make of that run?
I thought his run was okay. I wouldn't be discounting Pop's boy. He had to do his fair share of work. I think heading into that semi-finals, getting back to Menangle and getting to the big roomy surfaces there of Menangle and surrounds of Menangle, I think he'll be all right.
One of the things that did happen in that particular race was we did have a race for, fortunately, horses, drivers, everyone involved came out unscathed. Grace Pinella was unable to finish the race. Tom Ison did his best to try and finish it. As they were still moving, he managed to get back into the sulky. Did you catch that, Blake?
Yeah, no, that was pretty awesome by him. I would have been letting go for sure. He rode it out very well and was able to jump back in. So, yeah, it was a super effort by him, really.
Pretty impressive piece of horsemanship, wasn't it, Amanda?
Yeah, it sure was. I think he had 4 winners that day, and then the next day, despite the fall, backed up at Newcastle that night and drove another handful of winners. So, it was a great performance.
Yeah, he's certainly a major talent, Tom Ison, and doing some really, really good stuff, particularly there in the northwest. Look, we've got another round of the heats at Penrith tonight. What are we looking forward to there, Michael?
Looking forward to seeing Antonia in the 3-year-old fillies. No doubt, she's an excitement machine, and I think she's the favourite going into that 3-year-old series. And also in the Colts and Geldings, I'm really interested to see a horse by the name of Rocket Boy take on a couple of these more well-credentialed horses. He's unbeaten here in Australia, and I think he can keep it going. I'm a Rocket Boy fan, and heading into the series, I think he can be a big player.
Amanda, I know you're very, very keen on seeing Antonia go around.
Yes, I sure am. She's first up since May. I think she hasn't had a run since she finished third in that APG final in Melton. She's had a couple of trials. She hasn't won the trials. She's been up against open class horses and the boys. But, I'm sure David Thorne will have a spot on for this race tonight. She has drawn barrier 10, so it's not going to be completely easy for her. And there's also another filly called Max Legacy in the race, I think is worth keeping an eye on. She's trained by Cameron Ross, and she's won 3 races for Cameron now, and she's drawn inside the second row. But I think, keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are looking forward to seeing Antonia go around. While you're saying that, Blake Jones he's just texted me his laptop has died. So I don't know if we're responsible for that. Let's hope not. Let's hope he gets it back, because it was great having Blake on the show. We've also got Dubbo at Parks tomorrow night, Michael. Should be a great race night there too.
Yeah, really good race night, Paul. Very exciting to see the 2-year-olds head to Parks tomorrow night. And there's a couple of nice horses going around in the heats. I think Amanda Turnbull's horse in the fillies heat will be awfully hard to beat in Lady Angelina. She's had the 1 start for 1 victory, but there's a couple of others there that are going well. Out there, Lexi, who's from the very strong Bernie Hewitt camp. Bernie having 4 winners at Bathurst last night, so he's in flying form. And also in that fillies heat, Paz de Cheval, a couple of others in them. We own a Misfortune. She's trialled well in preparation, and Steph it was good at her first few race starts back. So a really good heat there for the fillies. And for the Colts and Geldings, well, St. Varen goes around. Baxter Red's in good form. And we also have a horse by the name of Bling It Up from the Mickey Musket camp that's won his last 2. But it's a race that's littered with talent, and both races I think will live up to expectation, that's for sure.
Of course. And we've got Tamworth next week as well. Amanda, what are you most looking forward to over the week? Oh, Blake's just come back.
He's back.
He's back.
He's back.
Good to have you back.
You can tell I'm a trotting driver and not an office boy.
Yeah. Interested actually in your thoughts on Antonia, Blake, if we can circle back to that. That Amanda and Michael have both sort of talked very highly of Antonia. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, she's a super filly. She's going to be pretty hard to beat in the whole series. I think she'll get the job done pretty easy tonight. Jack will be putting her into the race at some stage and taking luck out of it, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and we just mentioned we've got Dubbo at Parks tomorrow night, Tamworth next week. Blake, what are you most looking forward to in the week ahead?
I'm actually looking forward to the boys tonight, the 3-year-old Colts and Geldings. You could nearly say that's a semi-final field, if not better. It's a cracking race, and it's going to be good viewing.
Is there one that you've identified that you think's going to be the toughest to beat?
Well, Tasty Delight, he's got the runs on the board, but I think Mick was saying before I dropped out there a bit before that Rocket Boy, he's sort of the up-and-comer, so it's going to be a good battle between them two, but there's plenty of others in the race that could also win, and you wouldn't be surprised.
Amanda, what are you most looking forward to in the week ahead?
Look, I'm going to join on the same bandwagon as Blake there. I think the 3-year-old boys heat tonight is just fantastic. You've got Rocket Boy and Tasty Delight drawn next to each other, so I think there's going to be fireworks early. So really looking forward to it.
Michael, is there one horse that you can't wait to see in the 7 days before we meet again?
I'm looking forward to Rocket Boy. I'm a big fan. I'm a real big fan of his. I think he can lead, and don't get me wrong, Tasty Delight will be there for the race tonight, but looking forward to Rocket Boy there, and also looking to see those heats at Parks. Being a Parks boy, looking forward to seeing those 2 heats at Parks tomorrow night with the 2-year-old Colts and Geldings and also the 2-year-old fillies. But we've got some really good racing happening right over Wagga tomorrow, along with Newcastle and Dubbo at Parks, and then into Menangle on Saturday night. So, a jam-packed few days of harness racing.
Should be fantastic. I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to. We've made a commitment in this show. Michael and Amanda and I will, but you're stuck with us for the duration of the Breeders' Challenge Series, but we're going to keep this seat that Blake's warming revolving door, and it's going to be someone who's been involved with one of the winners in the week leading up to. Now, we don't know who that is, so I'm excited to see who our guest is next week. Watch this space. We'll tell you who it is when we know, but that's the beauty of racing. We don't know who's going to win, and there's so many chances through this series, isn't there? So, this is a fantastic concept, the best of the best across the state at 2- and 3-year-old, and it really is the future of harness racing, Michael.
Yeah, it is, Paul. It's a very exciting time, and this next month and a half is going to be some of the best. And hopefully, we can get back to the tracks, and we can all meet down there at Menangle in 6 weeks' time for that final, and enjoy what should be a good night. And hopefully, Blake's there, and he might drive a winner for me along the way if things go right, and we can get trouble looming to the track, eh, Blake?
No pressure, mate. No pressure, Blake.
Hopefully we can kick some home between now and then.
Good on you, mate.
Mike, it's been fantastic to have you on the show both times.
It's been good. I'm sure whoever you get next week should be able to fulfill my shoes, no dramas at all.
No, I appreciate you joining us on the show. I'm sure the viewers out there have enjoyed your insights into this Breeders' Challenge Series. Congratulations on Bahrain Banto. Best of luck through the rest of the series with every drive that you've got. Amanda Reno, thanks for your time. Michael Dumacy, brilliant as always. To everyone out there watching, thanks for tuning in. As we said, this is episode 1. We'll be coming to you every week through the Breeders' Challenge Series. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on New South Wales Bred. Bye-bye.